Hello? Hello? Are you there? I think they're there. They're out there in RCL land, Joe. Okay, everybody wave at Joe. Hello, Earthlings. We are back with today's version of the Joe. That's me. Show. Joe, you told me today that you wanted to talk about multiples of 10. Okay, well, get your thinking brain on because here we go, talking about multiples of 10. You can use a place value chart and patterns to write numbers that are 10 times as much or 1/10 of any given number. For example, if I start with hundred thousands and I go back to 10,000s, 10,000s is 1/10 of the hundred thousands place. If I go to the thousandths place and I go back, it's 1/10 of the 10,000ths place. Hundreds is 1/10 of the thousands place. Tens is 1/10 of the hundreds place. Ones is 1/10 of the tens place. And if I were to go on to decimals, then a tenth would be 1/10 of the ones place. So when you're going backward, you're getting smaller. It's like dividing by 10 and finding 1/10. But if you're getting bigger, if I start in the ones place and I jump over to tens, that's 10 times more. If I jump over to hundreds, that's 10 times more. If I jump over to thousands, that's 10 times more. If I jump to 10,000s, that's 10 times more. And if I jump to 100,000s, that's 10 times more. So each place to the left, going this way, remember for left, the hand that makes the L is the direction of left. So if you're going this way, it's right, and if you're going that way, it's left. So each place to the left is 10 times the value of the place to its right. Find 1/10 of 600. Well, if I wanted to find 1/10 of 600, I'm thinking that 600 would be here. And if I go back, I'm removing 1 0, so that would be 60. So 1/10 of 600 is 60. If I wanted to find 10 times as much as 600, I know that 600 was here. And if I move up, that's 10 times more, and it would be thousands, so it would be 6,000. So 10 times as much as 600 is 6,000. So 10 times as much as 600 is 6,000. Let's do a few together. What I would like for you to do is to take your math journal, and I want you to write up at the top place value patterns. So your paper is kind of going to look like this. Place value patterns. And then I want you to put your name over here to the side. Joe's going to put his name. Then I want you to number it from 1 to 8 and skip a line between your numbers. 1, skip a line. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Just like that, okay? So I'm going to show you how we're going to look at the problem and how we're going to write it on the page in our math journal. The number 200, what would be 10 times as much? I'm going up here to my chart, hundreds. If I want to go 10 times bigger, I'm going to go 1 hop, and I'm going to be thousands. So for number 1, 10 times as much is 200. I want you to write down 2,000. Now, what would 1/10 of 200 be? That means if 200's here, I'm going to go back, which makes it 1/10, or dividing by 10, and I see tens. So that means 1/10 would be 20. So you have two answers, 2,000 and 20. For 10, okay, what would 10 times more be? Here's 10. 10 times more would be 100. So for number 2, we're going to write down 100. What would 1/10 of 10 be? That means we're going to go back, and that would be the ones place, and that would merely be a 1. I hope you're getting the hang of this. For number 3, 700. What would be 10 times as much? 700's here. If I'm going 10 times more, that means I'm going here. So that would be, yes, I heard you say it, 7,000. What would 1/10 of 700 be? We're going back, so that would be 70. Number 4, 10 times as much as 10 times as much as 5,000. Well, I'm going to go to the thousands place, and if I go up one jump, which is 10 times more, I'm in 10,000s, which means that 10 times more than 5,000 would be 50,000. What would be 1/10? Well, 5,000 would be here, and if I go back one, it would be 500. Working with these multiples of 10s is really easy once you get the pattern. Okay, number 5, 900. 900's here. 10 times more would be 9,000. What would 10 times less be? If we're looking at 900 and we go back one place value, we're going to be at 90. Number 6, 80,000. That would be in the 10,000s place. If I go 10 times greater, I'm going to go one jump to the left, and I would be at 100,000s. So that would be 800,000. Remember, I'm at the 10,000s place. If I go 1/10, that means I'm going one jump to the right. I would be in the thousands place, and 1/10 of it would be 8,000. Now, for 7 and 8, I want you to fill in those answers yourself, and I'm going to ask you to send me a picture of your place value patterns to me or Mrs. Irvin. You can email me your picture, or however you send pictures into your teacher. So for 7 and 8, you're looking at the number 3,000. What will be 10 times as much? Come up here and look at your chart if you need to and write in that answer. What would be 1/10? That means you're going to the right, and that would be less. What would 10 times as much as 40 be? You're going to write that in. What would 1/10 of 40 be? You're going to write that in. Remember, this is an assignment, and it is required, so you should have your page. The first 6 should be really easy for you to get them correct because we did them together, and you should have the answers written down. 7 and 8 I want you to do on your own. And once again, I'm going to summarize with a place value chart. Every time you're moving in this direction, you get bigger, times 10. Times 10, times 10. So what about if I had the number 20? And I said, instead of wanting to know what's 10 times more, I want to know what 20 times more is. I'm sorry. If I have the number 20 and I want to know what 10 times greater is, that might be a better way to say it, it would be 200. But what if I wanted to know what 2 multiples of 10 greater it would be? Then you would have to go 2 jumps instead of just 1. Now remember, if we're going backwards, we're finding 1/10, which is the same as divide by 10. So if we're finding 1/10 of a number, we're going backwards and the number is getting smaller. If we're finding multiples of 10 and we're multiplying by 10, it's getting bigger and it's going in this direction. So what I do is I have this place value chart kind of in my head right here. And when I'm working with these values, I see that. For example, a question that you might have on a test might look something kind of like this. Two numbers are shown below. Compare the values of the 3's in the numbers. Well, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the digits where the 3's are at, and I'm going to underline them. There's a 3, and there's a 3. Okay. I can see that this one is behind the decimal point. This one is in front of the decimal point. So if I were to line these two numbers up by the decimal point, I can see that this digit is 10 times more. So you might be asked to find a digit that's 10 times more, and you're going to be moving it over to the left. So if I were comparing these two values, I would say the 3 in 983 and 21/100ths is 10 times more than the 3 in 45 and 396 thousandths. I'm hoping that that cleared multiples of 10 up for you just a little bit. We're going to talk about it a little bit more tomorrow, so you'll need to be sure to have your math journal with you. Have a wonderful afternoon.